Hey everybody, Nick here. In this video, I'm going to build out an end-to-end AI Parasite content system for LinkedIn that uses make.com to source posts from high quality or very engaged people, and then repurposes them with AI into our own tone of voice to help us publish on our own LinkedIns and grow faster. This is a viewer request, so if you guys have your own systems that you want to see me put together in front of you, then drop them down below, and if it's one that I haven't done before, then I'll absolutely build it for you. Without further ado, let's get into the system. So I want to be abundantly clear. I haven't actually yet to build this system. I haven't put any of the moving pieces together. I did like a 30-second search before this just to verify that I could get the data, that, you know, I could put this together logically, but I didn't actually like do any of the make.com automation stuff or any of the actual running of said scrapers. The reason why I do this is because I've noticed that a lot of people on YouTube, they will just show you the end result of the system as opposed to what went into building it. You know, it's almost like if you wanted to become an engineer or an architect and you just like look at a finished building and somebody says, okay, great, now you know what to do, right? You probably have no idea. So my goal with my channel is just to show people what like an actual automation developer, automation engineer mindset is while you're actually like going through and developing it. So this is the extent of my work essentially. What I'm thinking of doing is we're going to start by scraping LinkedIn posts. And I know that there are a variety of scrapers available to do this because I've used a variety of different scraping platforms on LinkedIn and it's worked kind of 50-50. It's worked pretty well. Next, I'm thinking, you know, we need to store the posts somewhere. I don't just want to like take the posts and then, you know, do the rewriting and then just like forget about them. It'd be really useful if you think about it for future purposes to just always have this big database of posts that we can refer to. And then the cool benefit there is we can check to see if a post is new as opposed to a post being old. So I'm thinking of storing them in a database with a unique ID. When I say database here, it can be pretty intimidating to some people, but it's really just a Google Sheet, so don't sweat it. If it's new, I'm thinking we're going to use AI to rewrite those posts in our own tone of voice. And then assuming that, you know, we've done the rewriting and we're happy with it, we'll then post these on our personal or company pages, however we want, with whatever cadence that we want. So a variety of ways that we can accomplish all of these things. I'm going to walk you through my mindset if I were to approach this project like for a client, or if I were to try and build this out for myself. This is exactly what I would do. And I'm just going to try and like narrate myself building this. So everybody is on the same page. Everybody understands what's going on. And if there are any like minor mistakes that I make along the way, any syntax errors or whatever, I'll just keep them in the video so you guys can understand how I tackle them and so on and so forth. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to scrape LinkedIn posts. And I've signed up to a variety of LinkedIn post scrapers in the past for other projects. Typically what I'll do is I'll go over to Apify. If you guys are unfamiliar with Apify, Apify is basically a big marketplace with a bunch of scrapers that people have put together for the purposes of scraping these social media platforms. And so anytime I have a need for some social media data or like some website data, I don't try and build my own scraper from scratch anymore because that takes absolutely forever and it's super ripe with a number of problems that I'm not going to get into just for the purposes of brevity. Essentially, Apify is just this open marketplace where you can build something that has value and then you can just charge people a little bit of money to use it. And they can either do so on a per results basis or like a monthly basis or like a server usage basis or whatever. But it ends up being quite cheap on a per record basis personally. So that's what I go with. Now, what we're going to do for this is I'm just going to type in LinkedIn post up here. I've already made an account, which is why I have my little profile picture here. So if you haven't done that yet, just go through the rigmarole, sign up. They'll give you $5 in free credits. So you can test out this flow. And I see a variety of different ones here. I've used this one in the past, and I've verified that this worked. So this is probably the one that we're going to be going with. There's a LinkedIn post information scraper, LinkedIn post reaction scraper, post like scraper, post reaction scraper. Basically what I want is I want something that scrapes posts with the post copy, right? Like I want the text of the post because I'm going to take that text and then I'm going to use it to rewrite and then pump it into our make.com scenario. I was just on LinkedIn here browsing through a variety of people's profiles. Matteo, just some guy that I follow and he follows me back, probably because of YouTube or maybe he's in my community. But this is a good example of the sort of thing that I would want to do. I would basically want to get content from people like this. I would then want to, you know, repurpose this, take the copy here, as long as it is. We want to be able to get the full copy text. And then we're going to like rewrite it a little bit, make it our own. And then we're going to want to post it. So we're going to need something that delivers the text. We're also going to need something like, it would be cool if we got the image. Although now that I'm thinking about it, if we do get the image, it's going to be kind of like, imagine you doing this ostensibly super unethical thing and they're just using the exact same image as the person. You know, ideally we'd be able to modify the images a little bit. I don't know if we could necessarily do that with AI. Like there's just such a wide problem area. So no, I'm probably going to keep the images out of there. It's a shame that images that are super high engagement tend to do well. Another thing that's coming to me just as I'm running through this is, if you think about it, probably we're going to need to have a filter step before. So it's not just that it's new. We scrape LinkedIn posts. Then we determine if these are like evergreen or personal. The reason why is because let's say somebody goes on LinkedIn and then just makes a post about like a coffee chat that they had with a friend of theirs. We don't want to repurpose that and say, yeah, we had a great coffee chat with Peter, because that'll just be a waste of content. Obviously, we don't know Peter and there's no real purpose there. So we're going to have to do some sort of AI filtering there too, which I'll cover. But yeah, so I think we have more or less everything we need. We'll use Google Sheets for this. We'll use AI for this. This is going to require a little bit of prompt finagling. But anyway, I think you guys are tired of just seeing me scope the project. So let's actually go and do it. To be honest, I would not spend more than 5 or 10 minutes doing the scoping on like a real client project or my own, just because I typically learn a lot while I do the thing. But anyway, let's start with getting the data from our data source. So I'm going to go LinkedIn Post Scraper. And I just have a little window here I'm going to have to move to the top right. This is going to ask us a couple of things. It's going to ask us for cookies, looks like. So we're going to need to grab some cookies here. The way that you do this on Apify is you tend to use a little browser extension called the cookie editor, which I've already downloaded. So if you guys don't have the cookie editor, if you just mouse over this question mark, probably, yeah, it includes a little direct link to some service. And the way that this works is you go on LinkedIn, you go to your cookie editor, and you just click export as JSON. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to paste this puppy in. And now we have all of our cookies inside. I don't know who this is. Probably just some guy I was scraping posts for before. Yes. So I'm just going to run this as an example. Thank you very much, Rahul. And then we can set a limit of the number of posts that we want to scrape from the source. Looks like we also have the ability to scrape some additional information. I'm not really sure what the hell that means. Likes, comments, screw it. Why the hell not? We can also get the raw data. I don't know what that means, but I'm just going to run this thing first before I make any more assumptions. So let's click save and start, and let's just let this puppy go. The idea here is I'm going to let it run wild, which actually, now that I'm thinking about it, may not be good, because how many posts is it going to scrape? Ah, shit. Whatever. We see that the LinkedIn account was successfully detected. So basically just took my cookies and then used that to get in. And if we go to output here, we'll actually see what it's generating for us. So I'm just going to preview this in a new tab, just see all of the data. Sorry, right over here. So looks like, yeah, okay. So it looks like if it's an article, then it has a bunch of additional information. And then there's some information around the background image of the person. Okay, it looks like there are a variety of different post types on LinkedIn. So let's just see the post copy. Where's the post copy here? Okay, right over here. It's in this text field. So right now we're using AI that can do specific things like search the web or drive the car. This is called narrow AI. The next step is make AI that can think and learn like a human. This is called general AI. Perfect. So this is exactly the sort of thing that we'd want to repurpose. So I can actually use this as like a test case. Beautiful, beautiful. So this is everything that we need in order to do good work. I guess we could also check to see if there is an image. If there is an image, we could pass that through AI, and then we could ask, is this image relevant to us? If it is, then great. If not, then not the end of the world. The most important thing when you're doing any sort of Apify scraping is just go to storage. And what you want is you want the dataset ID. You just want to copy that over. Now in our make scenario, I'm just going to type in Apify. Now what I want to do is I want to get the dataset items down here. The reason why I'm doing it this way, and I just have to select the right account because I know I have a few, is this just allows me to pull all of that data for the flow that I just ran. So I'm hard coding the dataset ID. I'm feeding it into this module called get dataset items, and then I'm requesting it to give me all of this data. The value here is, we just took the data from Apify and now it's in make. If you haven't done, the connection and stuff like that, just remember you're going to have to do that as well. Super easy, just a little API key. I'll leave that out for brevity, but yeah, we've basically accomplished the first major purpose in my mind, which is getting the data to make. So now that the data is in make, we can actually do stuff with it, right? So the very first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm just going to want to go through these fields sort of mentally here. And I'm seeing that there's different types. It looks like there's like a short string and then there's a long string. So I guess after a certain character count, make just makes this a little toggle field instead. But yeah, this looks pretty good. Are there any images here? Looking for images. I'm not seeing any images. Maybe attributes? No. I'm seeing profile pictures, which is cool, but I don't really think we can do anything with the profile picture, can we? Reactions, comments. Looks like this scraper is also scraping for reactions and comments and stuff, which is cool. Now, this guy that I'm doing the scraping on, he's not like super famous or anything. I imagine, if he was super famous, the number of shares, likes, comments, and stuff, that'd be like a good piece of data for us. We could use that. Okay, cool. Anyway, I think we have more or less everything we need. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start building out the GPT prompts. So, I can verify whether or not this is a general post or this is something specific or particular. So, like, I basically want to verify that this is going to be evergreen, right? So let's do that. Let's go to GPT. And the way that I always build these things out is I'm just building them one module at a time. The reason why I'm building them one module at a time is I just want to make sure that whatever I do, it is, if there was to be an issue with this flow, I would know exactly where it broke. If I don't do it this way, and, I try just like slapping like 15 modules on the page and then trying to test it, well, then I don't know, it could be any one of the 15 modules. But if I test every module one by one, then I know exactly where the error is when the error happens because I know it wasn't in any of the previous modules, obviously the one that I'm screwing around with now. So I'm just going to have two steps. I'll have like a simple filter post step. And this is just going to be like a dumber sort of model. It's going to be simpler. So I'm just going to scroll down to model. We'll just do GPT-4o. I say dumber, meanwhile, it's like smarter than my cat. The system prompt I'm going to use here, just off the top of my head, you're a helpful, intelligent assistant. I would just say writing assistant. And then in order to set a good prompt, usually I'll do this structure. I'll do system first, and then that'll just define what the prompt or what the AI model like identifies as. And then I'll do a user prompt after where I give it the instructions. And then after I'll give it at least one user assistant pair. So it'll be system, user, user assistant. And then after that, I will put another another user prompt where I actually ask it for the data. The best way to build these flows out is usually to treat the AI as just like an API endpoint. So I'm going to be sending it some JSON, JavaScript object notation, and I'm going to be getting some JSON back. So I know that for sure. And if I click on Show Advanced Settings, there's actually now an option for this under response format where you can actually just ask for stuff in JSON, treat it like an API call, and then have it return data to you. But how are we actually going to do this? I'll say your task is to identify whether or not a post is evergreen or personal. Evergreen posts are about general concepts, ideas, facts, movements, opinions, statements, etc. Personal posts are about something. Personal posts are about a specific person or about an event in the poster's life or about something. Okay, I'd probably go with that. A good rule of thumb is if the post discusses something that is relevant only to the poster, it is personal. If the post discusses a broader idea, concept, or subject, it is evergreen. Return your result in JSON using this format, and then I will go, let's just call it verdict. Personal. Okay, cool. That looks good to me. I'm then going to go and provide a user example. I'm going to say post text, or actually let's just go post. And then why don't we actually go and like find a personal thing? So I'm going to go back on this fella. Agent's the cold call. What's your favorite combination of channels? Stay tuned. This is him and a friend. Okay, great. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Cool. So this is a great example of a personal post that I would not want duplicated, right? So we're just going to paste all of this in. And I'm realizing now that a lot of these are going to have tons of new lines. So what I'm going to do when I feed it in is I'm actually going to remove all the new lines. This is also just a good idea in general when, you know what, I could just feed this in feed this into AI and have it do it all for me. And then, yeah, the benefit in removing the new lines is you also have slightly shorter, like fewer tokens. So I'm going to go post, and then I'll go assistant, then I'll go verdict, and then I'll go personal. And then let's go user one more time. And then what I want to do is now I want to provide an actual post. So I'm just going to go here to where it's post text. Then I'm going to close that off. And then, yeah, this looks pretty good to me. I don't see any major problems here. So we're just going to give it a try. The first thing I have to do, though, is I just have to head back to my get data set items, and I just have to set the limit to 1 because I only want to do this on one post, basically. I just want to see how it performs on real data. Okay. Result was evergreen. Awesome. What was the text that we fed in there? Let's go to messages. Yeah, this is basically exactly what I wanted. Looks like it actually even worked with the new lines, which is cool. The reason why is because we're just feeding this into GPT. So this wouldn't actually be like a good, like a properly formatted API call because there's a bunch of new lines in here. But because we're just feeding into GPT as like content, it doesn't really matter. We could fix this though. We could make this better. And that's what I'm going to do just for token brevity purposes, just to keep the context as short as possible, and then just make sure everything's formatted in the right way. I'll just go replace. Then I'm just going to go grab all the new lines, and I'm just going to replace all the new lines with, let's just go spaces instead. And then something isn't working here. Why? Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Now I'm going to do the same thing. It's going to give me the result probably much faster. Then I'm just going to check the content. Nice. That looks pretty good to me. No major problems here at all. So we now have basically a working filter. This filter, I've only tested it on one result, but just based off my intuition of how these models work, it's probably going to do pretty well. I'm not saying that I had the best prompt ever, but it's a pretty good prompt. And I'm going to make sure to, paste it over so you guys can just copy this in your own flows whenever you want. So now we have a way to filter the post. Kind of the next step in my mind is we need to add this somewhere, right? We need to add this to a Google Sheet, preferably. So I'm going to go over to, let's go sheets.new. Now let's actually put together a spreadsheet that we can use for this purpose. So I'm going to go add a row. And what I have to do first is I actually have to just connect this. We'll go LinkedIn posts. And this will just be our LinkedIn post database. And let's think about this really quickly. First, we're just going to want to make sure that this verdict is equal to evergreen before proceeding. And then everything that makes it in here is going to dump directly in here, which means that now we need a bunch of headers in our spreadsheet, or in our database, I should say. Like, spreadsheet, database, same difference, to be honest. And yeah, I can already see a bunch of valuable fields here. So I could just map all these myself, and I have done this before, but it's actually a lot easier if you just basically get AI to do all of this stuff for you. So I'm just going to paste all of this in. Sorry, hold on. There might be some additional data that's relevant to us. I'm just going to go download output bundles. And you see here, we basically have all the data, right? So I don't really care about the author. I don't really care about the author. Well, actually, author profile ID. Yeah, no, I don't really care about that. It's not super relevant to me. So let's just do, okay. Let's just get AI to turn this into things for us, like turn this into headings for us. So I'm just going to copy all this stuff over, and then I'm going to open up my AI model, which is just on my browser. And I'll just say into this is JSON that I'm putting into, that I'm building a spreadsheet for. Take all of the key names and turn this into a list of headers in CSV. And then I'm going to paste this in, and then I'm just going to remove the stuff that isn't really relevant, the stuff that I don't really want. So I don't want all this author information, for instance. So the reactions, to be honest, I don't really care. Yeah, I don't want to store every reaction. And it looks like there are a bunch of reactions here. Let's just take all those out. And then author, I don't really care about that except for the first and the last name, I would say. So, oh, actually, we can just get the profile ID. The profile ID is good enough. Get the profile picture, sure. And then what else? Author profile URL, post that. Okay, awesome. So I'm just going to pump that in. It's now going to basically take this and generate just a list of headings that I can just paste into my Google Sheet. So I'll go back here. And then what I need to do in order to split this into all of my headings is I just need to go split text to columns here. And now I have a list of headings, which I can just bold and then, kind of organized in this way. This looks pretty good to me. I have most of what I want already, which is nice. And then all I need to do is I just need to make this accessible to my other account that's actually going to be managing this. So I'm just going to call myself an editor, share this with me. And then I'm going to go back here. And now we're actually going to try adding some of the data into our spreadsheet, which is pretty cool. I basically use AI to do all of these little things now. I used to do it myself, but if you just do the math on it, yeah, you can save quite a bit. Sorry, I need to go, I think, with shared with me because I technically shared this one. I didn't make it inside of that account. So I'm going to go shared with me, and then I'll go LinkedIn posts. Perfect. And now we're going to go to sheet 1. And inside of sheet 1, we're going to have a bunch of fields. Now we just have to do the particularly laborious thing of just matching them all. So let's go over here and let's just pump it in. Is repost URN. This is going to be our unique ID actually. So now that I'm thinking about it, we should probably change this. Let's just drag this over here. And then this is going to be here. This doesn't work, like this says is repost, but it's actually just column A. So I know URN is going to be in column A, is repost is going to be column B. From here on out, we can just proceed. And what I'm doing is I'm just pressing tab here, and then I'm just clicking on the thing that I want. This is just going to make it substantially faster. Attributes and comments probably technically won't work, to be honest, because these are nested, but that's okay. Can post comments, can share, commenting disabled, allow commenters, root share, share audience, other profile ID, that's what I want. So here, 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 and then post it at ISO, and then input URL. Awesome. So now we're going to get all this data and it's going to pump into our spreadsheet. So I'm going to run this. It's evergreen and voila. Now the reason this is bolded is just because, the first header row was bolded and it's just going to do the same thing that it sees. I don't like how this is spread on all these lines. So I'm just going to go into my Google Sheet and then I'll just go clip. So I don't want this to be wrapping. And then I'm also, hold on a second. Why is this so annoying and big? I think I need to do this. I don't like it. Okay, there we go. Which is nice. And then really the thing that matters for us is this URN-LI activity. This is going to be like our unique thing. When I see URN, I'm thinking universal resource number or something. Earn meaning in code. Universal resource name, permanent identifier, right? Which is basically exactly what we want. Okay, so now we have our database, but let's just make this a little bit prettier because I like when this is prettier. Nice. Nice and blue. You know what? Let's change the text. Ooh, enter. Ooh, that's good. Okay, great. And what do we have? We have this text column, which is the thing that we really want. This is what we're going to be using to like generate our data. So we can do this in a variety of ways. We could do, what we should probably do? We should store. Okay, now I'm thinking in my head, I want this to be like a good future solution, future-proof. I want us to be able to use this for as long as humanly possible. So if I wanted to make this really, really future-proof, I would probably store the outgoing posts as well as the incoming posts. What I mean by that is this might be like the source posts or scraped posts. And then this might be like the generated posts or something. Because what we're going to do is now that we have this data, we can feed this into AI, we can have it rewrite it. Then what we can do is we can add it to generated posts as well. We're going to need different headers than scrape posts. And we're also going to have to change the sheet name here because right now it's sheet 1. But what we need it to say is we need it to say scraped posts. Otherwise, our automation will break. They use the sheet name in the API call. And then what we're probably going to want to do is we're just going to want to grab the text of it. And then we're going to pump it in a generated post alongside this URN, just in case we ever need to reference the two back. And then I'm just thinking, what else? I think that's all, to be honest. Maybe we'll do user as well. Yeah. So let's do this. Let's grab all of these headings. Then I'll go URN, and then we'll go text. And then we don't need any of these because these are all likes and comments and stuff. We can get rid of all this stuff. Let's just keep the author information. Profile ID, profile picture. I mean, we don't really need the profile picture, do we? I do like having the profile ID though. The idea is just we could very quickly and easily reference these between each other. Profile URL, sure. Author URN, sure. Posted at timestamp, posted at ISO, cool. We'll just go here, paste these in, and then let's just turn these other ones from blue back to white. Awesome. Okay, great. Now we have basically everything that we need in order to actually go out and have AI generate the post for us. And this is really where the magic is going to happen. So why don't we do this? We'll go evergreen, first of all. Oh, you know what? I'm realizing now, I think I missed a step, didn't I? Yeah, because we need to store them in a database with the unique ID and then double check to see whether or not these are actually unique every time we add them. See, I wouldn't have realized this had I not done this. So here's what I'm going to do right before all this. And this is going to save me some tokens. I'm going to go search rows. And before we even do the AI filtering, we're going to just check our database to make sure that this doesn't actually exist. And there's a quick and easy way to check databases in make.com. I guess, would it be my drive? I don't know. We may not be able to search things that aren't technically ours. What was this called? LinkedIn posts? Yeah, okay, yeah, we can. And then we want to check scraped posts. So here's the quick and easy way to do it. All we do is it gives us columns that we can filter by. So we check to see if URN is equal to this. And if it's the same post as before, it's not going to proceed. Okay? So basically, what we're doing is we are filtering all of the rows that we are returning. And then I'm just going to check to see if this returns more than one bundle. If not, if it's 0, then we can proceed. If it's not, then we have to stop. So let me show you guys what this looks like in practice. We're just grabbing the same data over and over and over again with the same URN here. So because of that, we're running this through our Google Sheet filter step. We're checking, hey, does any of the URNs equal to the new URN that we're pumping in? Since our sheet currently already has one that does, it's going to return more than one bundle. And our flow is only going to proceed if we have 0 bundles or more. So I'm going to click run once. Voila. And the total number of bundles is actually 1. Because the total number of bundles is 1, it's not proceeding. Beautiful, beautiful. So now we've actually accomplished, basically all these steps. So this is good. This is good. This is good. And now we're on to this one. So if we use AI to rewrite those posts in our own tone of voice, let's go back here and let's go rewrite post. Let me just drink from my cherry bubbly. I can tell all of the carbon dioxide is currently being wasted. These things are goddamn incredible. Do you guys haven't tried this on your own? Oof, man, bubblies. It's like 0 calories. Not that I give any shits, to be honest, but 0 calories. It's just like, it's like the oil from an orange peel. And then, yeah, helpful, intelligent writing assistant. And then it like satisfies that craving that I always have for that hit of something. Okay, so now it's time for us to design our prompt. I'm going to be using the same prompt design principles that I used before, where I had the system prompt up at the top, your helpful, intelligent assistant. That just defines it. The next one is going to be basically just telling it what I want it to do. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to rewrite some posts for me. In order for prompts to perform as well as humanly possible, generally speaking, what you need to do is you need to actually take the data that you want to transform and actually do one of these transformations at least one time. So it picks up on your tone of voice, picks up on what you're trying to do. AI is never going to be perfect. So this is not going to be like the most amazing post in the whole wide world. But if you follow along with a couple of the little tweaks that I'm going to make here, it will get you 80 to 90% of the way. And a lot of the time that is sufficient. So let's say your task is to write a post based on the text in another post. You should be heavily inspired I'm not going to say copy or rewrite, because in my experience, when I've used the terms copy or rewrite, it tends to do a really shit job. So instead, I'm going to say, hey, you should write a new post based on the text in a sample post. You should be heavily inspired by the sample post. And your output should be of similar length to the input. Okay, great. Now I'm going to go over to user and assistant. The issue is, return your post in JSON using this format. let's go replace ulines with \n. This is just for us. So we'll go post goes here. And then I'm going to actually, the issue with writing all this stuff ourselves obviously is going to take forever. So what I actually do is I get AI to write me the first example. And then I just make a bunch of tweaks to the example. So I'm just going to go post, and then I'm just going to feed in the text from, you know, the, I guess, module number 3, get data set items here. Now I'm noticing that I keep on trying to do the same thing. I basically am trying to feed in the same variable that I was feeding in here with the replace and stuff like that. I don't really want to do that. I don't want to be in the habit of just like constantly feeding in the exact same thing over and over and over again. Generally speaking, when I notice that I do something at least once, I will just copy this and then I'll just add it to a set variables module instead. So I'm just going to go over here. I'm just going to go set multiple variables, and then I'm going to stick that puppy in here instead. And what I'm going to do is I will say sanitized post, and I'm just going to feed this in. So I'm going to replace all the text with a new line. You'll notice that my filter is now not really in the right place. I don't want this to run 3 times before it determines whether or not it's new. I only want it to run twice, because I could say 1.5 ops every run, right? So I'm actually just going to replace this filter. I'll go back here, I'll go new, and then I'll just make sure that's equal to 0. And then I'm just going to delete this. Make.com currently has a little bug where you can't see the text unless you wiggle this around a bit. So that's where that's coming from. Awesome. And now we'll just say sanitize text. And now instead of the variable that I was using before, I'm just going to use the variable from this module. And this does technically add operations, but it makes the flow more maintainable. So instead of me having, if I wanted to change this and I forgot, I have to go through every single one of these modules and double check and be rigorous and then forget half the time if I do an update. I know now that like, there's a purple module here. Let's say 3 months from now. There's a purple module here. Well, let me check the variable. Let me see what's going on. Oh, okay, this is what's grabbing the text. So I need to, if I'm going to make any changes to the post copy, I'm going to do it right over here. Okay, great. So we have the rewriting. Why don't we actually run this through now? And yeah, let's just see how this goes. What I want to do is I just want to see how it rewrites on its very first run. And then by knowing that, I'll be able to tell, I'll be able to basically make my changes and stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the limit from 1 to 2. The reason why is because I want it to go through 1 more and I want it to add an extra new line for me. So I'm going to click run once. Cool. So it stopped the first run and just went through all of the steps on the second. And you can see that, we now have the same thing. We have another row added with its own universal resource number, which is beautiful. And we actually went through and we rewrote the text. Okay, great. So let's see the source text and let's see this, and let's just compare them. Show your resume to 100 people and you'll get 100 different opinions. Add AI and applicant track system and it feels even harder. It's a lot, right? But in the end, a person will hire you. Do not rewrite your resume 100 times. The resume has one job: to get you noticed and help you get an interview. #resume. This one is share your business idea with 100 people, and each will have a different perspective. Toss in market trends and technology shifts, and it could seem daunting. Overwhelming, isn't it? Yet ultimately, it's the customer who will validate your idea. Instead of tweaking your plan endlessly, focus on its core purpose: to solve a problem and catch the interest of your target audience. Okay, great. Now that we have this, I can actually take this in here, and I can use it as an example, okay? So I'm going to add an assistant call here, and then I will just say, let's say sample post for future reference. I'm going to paste this in. And then this sample post actually needs to be this. Beautiful, cool. So now I have basically my first system prompt, my user prompt, my other user prompt, and then my assistant prompt. So sort of like the last thing I actually need, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to touch this up and make it a lot better. But the last thing I just need is I just need, the actual data itself, if you think about it, which would be this variable over here, sanitized post. Now, it's going to read through the text that I'm going to touch up and make better in a second. It's going to get like the idea of the tone of voice and stuff like that. And then it's going to use it to write a response to this, which is beautiful. Okay, great. So now that we've done this, I'm just going to click OK just to save that, because I've had a nasty tendency of exiting out of prompts that I've worked a very long time on. And I'm just going to go through this and I'm just going to use my own prompt engineering sort of like best principles, and then try and make this as high quality as humanly possible. Now, keep in mind, I have a writing background, and so I used to do freelance writing. It's actually how I got started in the AI space. I was doing some freelance writing right around 2020 when GPT-3 came out. I was like, could I automate my job? And the answer to that ended up being mostly. So like, I'm very familiar with how this stuff works, and a lot of things probably come intuitively. If something doesn't, if you have any questions about what I'm doing, or maybe I don't fully explain myself, just leave me a comment down below. I'm more than happy to walk you through it. But okay, let's actually run through and do some of this editing. So this is the sample post. This is the output. So basically what I'm seeing that it's doing is changing resume for business ID. I don't want that. I want it to talk about resume. So if you shared your resume with 50 people, each would have a different perspective. Then consider market trends and technology shifts. Then when you consider market trends and technology shifts, it can get maybe we should say add market trends shifts, and it gets even more daunting. I'm just going to remove the overwhelming, isn't it? One thing to note, ultimately, it's always the customer who validates. So I guess instead of customer, what we want is, who is it the person? Oh, sorry, hold on a second. I'm actually out of the loop here. Each would have a different, okay, if you shared your resume with 50 people, you'd get 50. If you asked for feedback, if you asked for resume feedback from 50 people, you get 50 different perspectives. Let's go ultimately. If you ask for resume feedback for 50 people, you'd get 50 different perspectives. There are tons of conflicting, there are many conflicting beliefs, and not all of them are valid. Ultimately, you only need one person. Instead of trying to satisfy everybody, understand that ultimately you only need one person to like your approach in order to get hired. That looks pretty good to me. I think this is a good inspiration. It's on the same subject, but it's not just copying it and pasting it. So that's pretty solid. Some of these posts are going to be pretty timely. They're going to be on like events that are really, really hyper relevant, maybe some like news thing. If you just copy and pasted the same thing, you get in a little bit of trouble. But if you just took slightly different angles to say the same concept, I would say, then that'll generally be a lot better of a strategy than just copying and pasting the same thing. So show your resume to 100 people, you get 100 different opinions, add AI and applicant tracking systems, and it feels even harder. It's a lot, right? But in the end, a person will hire you. Don't rewrite resume 100 times. Your resume has one job to get you noticed and help you get an interview. If you ask for resume feedback for 50 people, you get 50 different perspectives. There are many conflicting beliefs, and not all of them are valid. Instead of trying to satisfy everybody, understand that ultimately you need only one person to like your approach in order to get hired. Right for that one person. Cool. Looks pretty good to me. I'm going to go down here and I'm just going to decrease my temperature a little bit on the AI model. I found that tends to improve the output. I'm not going to muck around with any of these other settings. I'm just going to click OK. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here and I'm just going to, no, we need to do one more actually. We need to do 3 instead of 2. So I'm going to go here. I'll do a limit of 3. And then I'm just going to make sure that I've set everything up right for this final test. And based off this test, I'll try giving it some higher level instructions. Now, let me do one more thing. Tone of voice guidelines. Write simply. Write with simpler, shorter sentences. Be Spartan. In tone. shorter, straightforward sentences. Let's do be Spartan in tone. Use, what are these called? Asterisks for emphasis. That's sort of like how I write. Use asterisk for emphasis if necessary. The issue with writing this is it's going to include asterisks in every single post. Maybe I'll say flip a coin. The coin comes up. Heads, use asterisk for emphasis. If not, don't. We're having to run a little simulation here. It's not actually going to flip a freaking coin. It's just I don't want it to write with the asterisks every single time. And let's see what the post result is. So the message that came in was, before asking for a referral, pause and think, why would somebody refer you? Have they seen your work? Do they know you? Have you worked with? Do they trust you? Recently received valuable advice from experienced professionals, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. And then the result, before you ask for a referral, stop and consider. Why would they refer you? Do they know your work? Have you collaborated for? Is there trust? I recently learned from seasoned pros about the power of genuine relationships. A referral isn't a simple ask. It's a testament to your abilities and characters. Here's my strategy for building real connections. Showcase your work and let it make an impact. Engage sincerely with others. Add value every time. Solid connections are grounded in trust and respect. Focus on these, and referrals will come naturally. This looks pretty reasonable. I don't like how there aren't new lines, so I'm just going to go back and just do one little tweak here where I have a couple of new lines jumping in. We'll go N, N. Then we'll go N, N. Cool. And now if I were to delete this and then run the same thing on the 3 posts, it'll grab that final result and it'll rewrite it, but it should put in some new lines because my example contained new lines. And it did, right? So voila, we have the new lines, which is cool. I don't really like how it's parsing the freaking new lines. Whatever. Okay, so now that we have this, I just want to update this to the database for generated posts. And then once it's updated in the database for generated posts, I'm just going to go through and then we'll actually like hook this up to LinkedIn and then pump this out. And then I'll just set this Apify runner, I'll set a schedule in Apify to have this run every so often. And then maybe we can just get the data set items, I don't know, like every 3 hours or something. And that way I'm just going to be posting stuff every 3 hours that, you know, somebody has posted previously in the last 3 hours. If I assemble a list of very high ROI LinkedIn channels or LinkedIn pages, LinkedIn people, I should say, because we're looking for people, we're not actually looking for pages. I also find that pages tend to have lower quality content. Then we can realistically have a post come in like every few minutes, which is pretty powerful. So I'm just going to go back to our spreadsheet and I'm going to go from scrape posts to generated posts. And then the values are going to still be the URN. So this is going to be the URN of the source post. So I'm going to go like source URN. And then the text is going to be this right here. Author profile ID. It's going to be this. Sorry, there's 2 author profile IDs. Why are there? We don't actually need that. Did I include the same thing over here? No, it looks like I just did one. Must have just screwed up when I created this. Okay, so C is going to be author profile ID. D is going to be author name. Let's go author name. So that'll be here. Then the next one will be author profile URN. It's kind of annoying that I have to scroll down every time. Sorry, author profile URL, I should say. There you go. This one's going to be the URN. And this one's going to be the timestamp, ISO, and then input URL. I'm just going to delete all of the rest of these because they're not relevant to us. Boy, was this a lot of data. Awesome, looks good. And now I should have basically everything I need in order to go and actually post it. In order to do LinkedIn posts, there are a variety of different ways to do so. You do need to make a connection with your LinkedIn. That's kind of like the big hurdle for a lot of people. So I'm going to go create a user text post. Then I have to, well, I'm not actually going to like do the whole connection myself, I don't think. I mean, maybe I will. I don't know. I just don't want to like show any API details here. If it's just a simple OAuth, it should be pretty straightforward. You know what? I probably need to change my password too. Oh, actually. Okay, yeah, that looks like it worked. Okay, great. And then for content, what I need to do is I just need to put the actual post in. So let me just see. To escape reserved elements, use the backslash or set up the IML function replace with search string. So it looks like there are some elements that we cannot include here. And I think one of them is a bracket. It looks like we can tag people. That's really interesting. We could totally use AI to do that now that we have the URN identifiers. Wow. Anyway, we could also make it an article. I'm just going to do only my, let's do only my connections because I don't just want to be pumping this out to many people. Yeah, and I don't want anybody to see this because it's just going to be a test. So I'm just going none. And then we're just going to give this a try, see how it goes. Let's go back to my own LinkedIn. Nice that it was just OAuth, eh? A lot of the time you got to do much more than OAuth for this. It's super annoying. And then I just need to find where my posts are. I don't think I've actually made a LinkedIn post in a really long time. I see some featured stuff here. Oh, activity. Yeah, sorry, it's right over here. So let's do this. And then let's actually give this a run. In order to do this, we are going to have to go one more. Let's go limit 4. Might be a personal post. Oh no, it's an evergreen. Perfect. We're going through our filters. And I'm making the post. So now I'm just going to refresh this puppy, and then I'll go to posts. And then I'll go back to my own profile. Do walk-in interviews still happen? Yes, they do. There's special places. Hiring world that might seem outdated. Cool. I think this is more or less the same thing that this guy wrote, just reworded, to be honest, a little bit better. I think our English is probably just a little cut above, which is actually kind of scary that you could create a campaign like this and then just proceed to absolutely mog the guy that's doing the content. I think it'd be cool if we had some new lines here. So I'm kind of thinking like, how are we going to add some new lines? Looks like we did post content, but I don't know if the new lines worked. So let's go back here. Let's refresh this puppy. No, the new lines definitely aren't working. Let me delete that. That's embarrassing. You just know there's some people that are like looking at these being like, Nick is really screwing up his automations here. Yeah, there has to be a way that we can get these new lines in here. I don't really understand why. Ah, okay, cool. That one worked. So before I ask for a referral, pause and think, why would someone refer you? Okay, cool. I figured it out. So what we have to do in order to make this work, after some handy dandy debugging, was the new line characters that come in here need to be replaced with a new line from make.com because there's some string formatting thing that it does before it sends the request out to strip all of these. So if it doesn't have a new line, it's not going to work. So basically what we've done here is we've just changed the text so that instead of just result post, we're replacing all instances of the new line in result post with new line, which will make things just look a little better, which should solve more or less all of our concerns. Now, here's another issue. If you think about it, the way that this is going to work right now is it's just going to scrape everything. And the second that it scrapes the post, it's just going to make the post. So we're going to be creating like 50 user text posts every time we receive 50 records. We don't actually want to do that, right? What we want to do instead, now that I'm thinking about it, is we want to add a way to like schedule a post. And so the way that I'm going to create my scheduling features, I'll go to generated posts, and then I'll just go scheduled post. And then I also have a column here called posted status. Or maybe I'll go like post status. What scheduled post is going to do is we're just going to create another scenario, and that scenario is just going to look through this scenario every now and then, basically every hour or so, to see if it is time for us to do the post. If it is time for us to do the post, we're going to grab the data from here, do the posting math, and then we're going to update the post status. This way, we basically have like a closed loop, and everything in our system is like self-managing. So I'm going to go for input URL here. Sorry, I'm going to go scheduled posts is J. So what I'm going to do is we need to have some way of scheduling a time. So I'm thinking about how we're going to do the time scheduling. We might need, ideally I want this to run automatically. So what I want it to do is I want it to run completely autonomously, and I want it to distribute the posts so that I never have to worry about doubling up on a post. I never have to worry about having multiple. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use this as an example. I'm going to go to scheduled posts. I'll go, let's say December 8th, 2024. And then we want like 14. This should be a format that it'll recognize as a date. So I'm going to go to format, number, we'll go date. No, we need a date time, sorry. Date time, there we go. And then, shit, what the hell's the format for the date time? If I go back here, it says 9/26/2008, 15:59:00. So right now would be 12/08/2024. 12/08/2024. I want 14:00:00. Is that right? Yeah, okay, that's right. So if I wanted to make this 15, then I would just stretch this. Okay, cool. All right, so basically what I'm going to have this do is I'm going to have it schedule a post every hour. The way that it's going to do the hour scheduling is it's going to return all of the posts on the spreadsheet that have a date later than right this second. So I'm going to sort those to get the latest one. And then it's just going to add an additional hour to that and then schedule it. That's how our schedule is going to work. Now, in order to actually make this work, obviously, we need to make sure that whatever we're providing is in the exact format that the thing needs. So what we have now is we have month. So I'm going to have to parse a date, basically. Okay, actually, there are a couple more steps that need to occur before I do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this, and I'm going to add another scenario here. First, I have to update the status, right? So post status, let's just have a couple of different post statuses. One will be, let's just say, yes, we'll just say scheduled for now. Okay. Yeah, we'll say scheduled. This will be called schedule post. Add source post, schedule generated post. And then what we need to do is we just need to search the rows one more time. And what I need to do is now I need a filter that says, and we need to refresh this now because we're not getting all the fields we want. So I'm just going to go back to LinkedIn posts and just run my way top to bottom. Scraped posts is not what we want, generated posts. And then I'm going to scrape this top to bottom for scheduled post. It's a date time operator, I believe. And we want it later than, I think we can just say now. I may be mistaken. We may not be able to say now, but I'm just going to try and say later than now. I'm going to run this and see what happens. We get 1, right, which is obviously the one that's for 2 p.m. So why don't we make just a couple as tests here? We'll do one that's in the past. We'll do one that's 16, and then we'll do one that's 18. Let's go back here now, and let's see if we could just get all of the rows. And we got this one, which is scheduled for this, which is nice. Then scheduled 16, which is nice. 18. Okay, cool. Oh, I screwed up. We didn't get the one that was 10, right? Just to clarify. 14, 16. Perfect. So the system is now working well. What we need to do is we just need to sort these now. Any way to sort these automatically? No. I'm just going to aggregate these into an array first and then sort them based off of that date time. So I'm going to go aggregator. Because we have multiple bundles here, it's outputting bundle 1, bundle 2, bundle 3. If I don't aggregate these results, every module after this is going to run the same number of times as there are bundles. So if there are 3 bundles, this will run 3 times, that'll run 3 times. If there are 20, it'll run 20 times. To eliminate this, I need to select this multiple bundle structure. Then I'm just going to map all of these fields and put them in an array instead. The benefit to sorting based off of an array too is now, if I just go back here, I just need to test out this specific flow. If I run this now, this is going to output an array with three elements. And then we'll have the scheduled post as one of those variables. Then I just want to set a variable. And then I just want to call it sorted scheduled posts. Then I want to sort this array. And what I want to sort it on is I want to sort it based off of this value, where it's a scheduled post here, which, as you see, if I mouse over this, there's this little raw thing that's popping up. That raw, that 9, that's actually the key name. So I want to post this based off the key name. I just want to see what happens. I don't actually know if this is going to work, so we're just going to give it a try. Okay, so this one was 14 o'clock. This one was 16 o'clock. And this one was 18 o'clock. And this is how they were initially formatted. So I want to just change these a little bit. I want to say 15, 19, let's do 16 first. So 16, 15, 19 should be 15, 16, 19. So we're going to run this one more time. We're going to see whether or not the sort actually worked. Okay, it worked. 15, 16, and 19. Wonderful. And now that we have this, what we can do is we can just take the latest date, and then we can just add an hour to it. And that's how we're going to schedule our post. That way, everything that comes in is always going to be 1 hour later than the latest future post, essentially. Oh boy, actually, hold on a second. Now I'm seeing an issue. The issue is we have turned our things into an array, which now means that these elements are no longer accessible to us, which kind of sucks. So if we're going to want to schedule our post, we're going to need to do so either earlier, which wouldn't make any sense, or we're going to have to do so, we're going to have to pull out another iterator. The data that we would iterate off of probably be this data here, right? So I'm actually going to have to pull another iterator now because I kind of screwed myself up with the structure. Let's drag that puppy there. The array that I could feed in. Oh, hold on a second. No, I lied. My bad. No, you can totally do this. I just didn't have the variable on the right module. If we connect these now and I go back here, now we should still have this successful. Okay, perfect. Yes, we do. And then this is now going to be with status scheduled. Perfect. What we just need a time. So I could set the time through another set multiple variables, but I think I'm just going to do it here. I'll go, actually, yeah, let's do the set multiple variables one more time. This is going to be sort scheduled times. And this one here is going to be calculate new scheduled time. And then what I'm going to do in order to do this is I'm going to grab the last element of this array, which is going to have the latest time. So we'll go latest scheduled post. I'm going to grab the last element in this array. If I just show you guys what this looks like as a test one more time, we're going to drag this back over here and then run this puppy. And now I have the last scheduled post. And what we want is we just want the time. So I'm just going to get, and then what I want is I want the name of this. So let's see here. Ooh, this is going to be annoying because actually the name is also just a number. I think I can get 9 and it should work. If not, then we're screwed. I'm going to do a different approach here. Okay, no, we did. Now what I want to do is I just want to, could we parse date? The date format is going to be, hold on a second, DD. I'm seeing here that this is just an 8. That's not good. MMDDYYYY. And then hour, minute, and then second, I think. Maybe it's XX, I don't know. Let's go integromat date time operator. Go to the tokens here, and we just want the seconds. So how the hell do we format seconds again? I think it's SS. That would make sense. It's HH for 24-hour time. Good. SS with leading 0. So actually, we're going to have to go lowercase. So MM, yeah, so MHH, capital HH, MMSS, like this. Annoying that we have to do it that way, but whatever. So basically what we're doing is we're getting the date, we're parsing it to get this in Make's built-in datetime format, which has it in our built-in datetime format. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to format the date after we've done this math. Oh, but first we have to add an hour. Add hours. And then I kind of screwed up adding this format date thing. Let's just get rid of this and see how many semicolons we still have. Yeah. I think this is probably sufficient. Right. So let me just run this one more time, make sure I didn't completely screw up my place. Every now and then I have to do this. Okay. And then what we want to do is, now that we've added the date, we want to add an hour. Just going to add one. And then we want to format the date. We want to format it in the exact same format that we just did. Unfortunately, we have to, do this little bit of math in order to get this back in the format that we want. I have a feeling that this is going to be a different format, but screw it, we'll add it anyway. And then I'm just going to remove the actual posting thing here for the purposes of this example. Now let's go back to our sheet. Let's delete this. Let's run this on actual live data now. How many records are we returning? 4. Okay, let's only return 2. Let's run this and let's see if there are any breaks. This is I'd consider this my like end-to-end test. Oh, sorry. The reason why this isn't scraping anything is because I did this on the generated side, but I didn't do this on the source side. It's working through, searching the rows, scheduling the time. Okay, great. So scheduled it for 1700. Should be 1 hour later than the latest post. It doesn't look like this made it in. Why didn't it make it in? Oh yeah, because I didn't feed it in. My bad. We actually got to feed in the latest scheduled post. Let's just delete that puppy one more time. Run it one more time. Right. Got to delete this too. And with this, we should now have everything we need in order for our system to function. This is a time. This is a time. Good. Wonderful. Cool. Now all we need is we have one side of the LinkedIn scraping system done. Now we just need something to post. And the way you actually do the post, let's do LinkedIn scraping system, add to sheet, scrape and add to sheet here. The way that you do the actual posting is we just need to create a new scenario, and then we'll have LinkedIn scraping system 2, which is just responsible for checking that generated post sheet and then actually putting the post out. So my bad, let's paste this puppy in. Just copy this title, and we'll call this post from scheduled database. Beautiful. The way this is going to work is we are just going to Google Sheets. We are going to search rows. We're going to do this every hour. Well, I guess we could do this every 6 minutes. Now let's do this every hour. We should really start this only on, yeah, we should only do this every hour. If I go every day, can I set the times? No. Specified day? That'd be pretty funny. No, we'll run this every 60 minutes. What we'll do is we'll start this on, let me see, 2024, 12, 8, 2 o'clock p.m. We're not going to run it yet. What I need for this is I need to grab the sheet ID, which is called LinkedIn Posts, which is right over here. And then now that I have that, I'm just going to go sheet name, generated posts. We're just going to pull from this every hour. What we want is we just want this scheduled post to equal to, and we can do this with either text or datetime operators. Let's try datetime operators. Try datetime operators. No, fuck it. Let's not do that. Well, actually, let's just grab them and see what the format is. And then let's see if we can format our own date to be that. Run. We didn't get anything. Why didn't we get anything? Right. So we do have a filter in place. So now we have our post with the date and time. So all we need to do is just, unfortunately, it's 2 p.m. Oh, just missed it. We had the perfect time to test, and I let it pass us by. What I want to do is I just want to format the date. The date that I want to format is now. And I want to format this into the same format that we had before, which was it was month, day, year, space HMMSS, I believe. We're going to give this a try. Let's just see what we fed in. Right. So this is running at 14:01:31. So that's not going to work because this is going to grab the exact minute and the second. So this make scenario is going to take probably more than a half a second to run or something. So it's not actually going to be correct. So instead of now, what I want to do is I want to set the minute of now to 0. I also want to set the seconds of now to 0 as well. And then I want to test this. Okay, so what we fed in now is we fed in 12:08:24 14:00:00. Let's just go to our sheet. And let's go 14:00. Let's just see if we can grab that data. I'm going to run this little test with the current hour. This is actually not pulling it for some reason. Why? Because this one says 8, right? Yeah, this one says 8. This one says 08. So we used leading 0, I think, for the day. We don't actually need the leading 0 for the day. So I use DD. We just need the D, right? Yeah. So that's what we need to do. My bad. We formatted it wrong because we slapped an extra 0 in there. Pump that in. Now we do get the data. There's one more thing I have to change though. I was doing the same encoding with the scheduling generated post. I was doing it with the D. So we'll do this D back. We'll do this D back. This should now work. Awesome. And then basically, this is going to run every hour. So every hour starting from 2 p.m. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's going to grab all of the posts that have the hour equal to the current hour, which will presumably just be 1 if you're, pumping these puppies out. And because we're searching it, we're going to have access to the data, which will include the text. We'll replace any new lines with new lines, which is nice. And then, yeah, we should be able to pump this out. And then I will just turn this puppy on. And then all you need to do is basically hook this up to a scheduler. Oh, we can remove this now. Hook this up to a scheduler, and then voila, you have a pretty well-functioning like LinkedIn Parasite system that actually is goes a little further beyond what I was initially planning on doing when the viewer sent in their request. I was just going to have it like automatically post immediately, but this is actually going to smartly, intelligently schedule based off of the last post. Theoretically, you could create a content bank that has 1 million posts here, and it would just constantly churn it out every hour. Also, theoretically, you don't have to do it every hour. You could do it every 15 minutes if you wanted to. You could do it every 4 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours. I just chose an hour for simplicity reasons. Like you could schedule it to run every 3 hours, but I just wanted it to run every hour. Just to show you guys what's possible scheduling wise. Okay, so the last thing that I want to touch on is the beginning of this. If we just leave the scenario as is, it's just going to run every 15 minutes and grab the same data set, right? So there are kind of a couple things that we could do. What I recommend we do is we go to Apify again and go watch actor runs. And we should make this the trigger of our flow. And now instead of running every 50 minutes, it's going to trigger only when a webhook is called, basically. And then under get dataset items, what we're going to do is we're actually just going to feed in the dataset ID of the run that just finished. So that should be sufficient now. We do need to set up a hook. So I just have to go into, I believe it was this account, and then it was the LinkedIn post scraper right here. And then I'm going to click OK. And now this is going to be tied to the runs of that scenario, of that actor in Apify. If I click run this module once and actually go back into Apify here, And let's just go back to our LinkedIn post scraper. And then why don't we just set the limit per source to be 5 or something instead of whatever it is right now. We'll turn this on, it'll run. And, it's going to go through and scrape the posts. Voila, just finished. That just turned green. So a few seconds later, this is now watching it. It's finished. We got the default data set ID of a new run, and now that's good to go. So we know now if we turn this on basically, and we turn this one on, we have like this self-functioning perpetuating system. The only thing we need to do is we just need to schedule in Apify. So just go to schedules, create new, and then however often you want to run the original scraper. Because we are checking to see if the post already exists in the database, you can run this as often as you want if somebody runs and does like 500 million LinkedIn posts a day. Anytime that you want to change who it is that we're scraping, you can do so just by going back to our actor settings here and then changing or adding different URLs. I should say you can just do all this stuff in Make too. You could run this scenario using the Apify run an actor module, and then you could actually just feed in like a dynamic list of people. So maybe instead of you having to do it in Apify, what you do is you store all the URLs in a Google Sheet. Then anytime you run the thing, which is once every day or something, you pull all of the people from the Google Sheet, feed that in as input. Variety of different ways you could tackle this, but yeah, that's the completed system. So I'm going to save these blueprints and then make these publicly available to you guys. So I'm going to export that, number 1. I'm also going to export this one, number 2. I'm going to go back to number 1. Rename it. Oh, apparently I can't use this because of this colon. And I'll do the same thing with this one. Just remove this colon. And I'm going to make it publicly available so anybody that wants this can feel free to use it. I don't know why my M dash isn't popping up. And then if you guys have any questions about how I put this out, let me know. Hope you guys appreciated the video. I had a lot of fun putting it in place. As I mentioned previously, this is a viewer request, and I really like doing viewer requests because a lot of the time they ask for things that that I didn't fully entirely understand before I actually did the thing. For instance, I haven't actually done the scheduling flow before, where you sort a list based off of the last date and then use that to pull and schedule future dates. So if anything, it was really just me honing my skills a little bit more, and I really like doing that. If you guys have any questions or suggestions for future flows, just drop them down below. Otherwise, if you could do me a big solid, just subscribe to my channel. I have I've been growing a lot faster recently, as I'm sure some of you guys have noticed, but as a result, I have the lower concentration or lower ratio of watch time from people that are subscribed to unsubscribed. So a lot of new unsubscribed people are watching me. If you're one of them and you like the stuff I put out, just subscribe. Really helps me out.